and welcome back to another video from HSTV, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys a Samsung Notes tour of my past 2 years at medical school. So if you're new to the channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Heen and I am now a third year medical student here at Edinburgh, intercalating in surgical sciences. The way Edinburgh's degree is structured is basically 2 preclinical years, 1 intercalation year, and then years 4, 5 and 6 are your clinical years where you're doing placements and more hands-on kind of things. So according to that, I have now finished my preclinical years and I am into my intercalation year. So I thought it would be quite interesting to show you guys some of my note-taking that I've been doing, some of my favourite topics, some of the topics I didn't like, and my favourite notes as well, because as you've seen on this channel, we've been on a real note-taking journey. So I wanted to kind of update you guys on that a little bit, and hopefully you find this interesting. Right, so we're in my Samsung Notes, and as you can see, I love Samsung Notes because it has such a basics interface. There's no like complicated buttons or anything. So I guess I'll start off my tour with MBCHB Year 1. Now this is not strictly gonna tell you what I was learning. This is more like my reflection of kind of my favorite notes and things I liked and would have changed, etc. So I remember in my first semester of medical school I was doing all handwritten notes, and I must say they looked really good, and I think that they were really aesthetically pleasing to actually revise from and learn from, and it kept me interactive during all the online lectures. But I have to say it just wasn't time efficient. Saying that, I think it wasn't a bad idea. I think I actually learned a lot about Samsung Notes through this process. I know the nervous system stuff was alright, but actually I remember there was some really nice notes from bioengineering, I remember, and I learned so many note-taking techniques that I just didn't do at high school actually. Stuff like this, I remember, this had a white background on it. I used a background remover app to get rid of that white background, then imported this image in and then labelled it up myself, when actually on the lecture side it was already labelled up. But there was just something about doing it yourself that just helped things to stick in better. I think that's just one of the annoying things about me. I just like doing things myself and it just goes in better. This was a really good note as well actually, I have to say. The color coding on this, I love color coding. You'll see how colorful my notes are, but color coding and arrows and flow charts, that's right up my street. I love doing that stuff, and it's just a bit annoying actually that because of the workload I'm not always able to do that. And as well as all the physiology stuff, I was actually doing all anatomy handwritten as well, and for those of you who studied anatomy, you'll know how difficult that can be. So when I'm looking back at this stuff, this is pretty epic. If we look at this bones lecture, I remember there was some, look at this, this diagram here. I took most of these images off of Complete Anatomy 21, it was called at the time. It's Complete Anatomy 22. I've actually done a review of it, so you guys can go check that out. But I was taking these images off of there as I was watching the lecture, and then I labelled it up myself and doing all the colour coding, and it's so aesthetic to learn from, regardless of how long it took me. And then you can see I labelled out all the cranial nerves with the foramina that they came out of. So yeah, this is pretty time consuming stuff, but it's really good notes to revise from, and I felt I didn't need to do anything else. I could just look back at the notes and it would all come back to me. So now let's have a look. What other stuff from anatomy did I do? Yeah, literally everything was handwritten in semester 1. You can see that all this stuff, I remember all the spinal cord stuff. Most of it I can't even remember now, if I'm being honest, but all labelled up, all drawn by hand. And obviously I had a few pictures put in for stuff, but majority is, and again, I was doing all the background remover stuff as well. So yeah, I guess probably one of the modules that I found it quite hard to take notes for was KCP, and the reason for that is because they just gave us reading to do, and then you just kind of had to take the notes yourself. We didn't really know how much detail you need to know this in. And when I look back at these notes, like for chest pain, you really didn't need to know like all the different types of cardiac chest pain, all the different types of esophageal, pleuric chest pain or anything like that. So yeah, I think I just went in a bit too much depth, but this was something of my interest, so actually, you know, I enjoyed taking notes on it, and it was actually quite enjoyable, you know, that as nerdy as that sounds. But yeah, KCP, I think that the note taking could have been better for it. I just personally didn't like it that much. You know, we had like videos to watch that we had to take notes on, and I don't know, I think my notes for this could have been better. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't have as many of the flowcharts or the arrows that I normally do. It's more just like subheadings and colours, which is alright for revision and things, but I do think my KCP could have been polished up a little bit more. Another part of the course that I think I did wrong was REBM, because I think it wasn't worth it for REBM to take handwritten notes. I think this was a bit of a waste of time, I'm not gonna lie. I think it would have been absolutely fine just to have the PowerPoint slides. I always used to write like learning intentions and things at the top because I was so used to in high school doing that or having it at the top of my page. So I did that, but actually when I think back, it's a bit of a waste of time, and I don't think I necessarily needed that. Again, like all this stuff, it's almost me just copying off the lecture slides, so which is, you know, when I show you my semester 2 stuff, actually it will disappoint you because it's mostly just lecture slides uploaded. And you can see actually towards the end of the semester I was just importing lecture slides because I was just so fed up with you know, taking these handwritten notes and just copying off the slides. Moving on to like semester 2, I'm not going to go into too much depth, to be honest, because a lot of this is just like lecture slides imported in. I did like the semester 2 in terms of like topic. We did like a good chunk of cardiology, you know, that's my favourite topic. You know, first year was great because it was almost like giving you a little bit of everything. I must say it got really busy though, and there was just a lot of information, and you can see that I've just started to import lecture slides at this point. And you know, although this is not my proudest piece of work, in terms of organisation, I was quite happy with it. You know, a lot of people were actually labelling it by weeks, whereas I actually labelled it by topic, which I found easier to organise. So a lot of people were doing like week 1 content, week 2, week 3, and by date. I personally didn't like that, so I sort of did it by specialty, and then within the specialty, like the different topics that we did. I found that easier. Again, it's just something that's subjective for everyone, but you can see it's all just lecture slides. Right, this is the stuff that now I really want you to see, and that's the study group posters. Now, with these posters, it was a little bit annoying in Samsung Notes actually, because you for going in landscape, you have to turn auto rotate off and then twist your tablet. So these summary posters, when I made them, I was like teaching from them, and we had like a whole study group going, and unfortunately you can't see these in landscape, and unfortunately I don't know why, but Samsung Note still doesn't have that feature. But I basically had to tilt my tablet and then make these posters. But I love these posters. This is right up my street. This kind of mind map, arrows, you know, I feel like this is how my brain works as well. It's just like one thing leading to another, and it's one of my favorite things. And you know, I've got a few of my favorites. I really love this ECG one, because you know, not only does it provide a great resource for revision, but it just looks really good. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I genuinely think that you don't even need to do the whole ECG lectures. You could just have this, how many pages is this, like 3-4 page summary, and you'd be absolutely fine, well on your way for a good mark in an exam. I love drawing, labelling, highlighting, you know, arrows. I've kind of mentioned this stuff before, but I just think that stuff like this is what helps me to learn, and even the process of making it helps to sink that information right in. Really like this immune system one as well. Again, really colourful. I'm actually trying to you know, get these notes to you guys. Let me know if you'd be interested to perhaps buy them, or if you'd want like copies of them or something. But again, yeah, you know, this is, you know, what they've put in like a 30 slide PowerPoint, I've condensed down into like a 3 page summary. and it's so important because you're so overwhelmed with words, lectures, diagrams, that it's so important to put it into something that you understand. This was a really interesting one. I watched a video from Khan Academy, and they did a really nice diagram for early embryogenesis, and I sort of took this inspiration from them. I'm sorry you can't see this properly, but and then I taught from this, and it was really, really good. So I really do recommend this sort of thing at medical school. It keeps your creative side alive, it keeps that motivation for revising, and you know, if you have a study group, it gets people together, gets your teaching part going, and yeah, it's just like a different way of learning. You need variation, otherwise everything just gets really boring. Okay, moving into year 2 then, again, I have to say everything was just imported, lecture slides. I didn't take any handwritten notes. At this point I was experimenting more with Anki and that sort of thing. Again, the flashcards were a pain to make, I must say, but good revision, good active recall, which is so important. We did like neurology and endocrinology. You know, it's interesting stuff. I must say that endocrinology is not really my forte, as you would say. I found it quite confusing stuff. You know, it's very important stuff, but it's just not my thing. We did like a big chunk of neurology, and this is one of the topics that I find interesting, but I just don't see myself doing this as like a specialty career in the future. So as interesting as it was, I wasn't grasping that interest that I needed. So I did find it interesting. You know, we had like consciousness and sleep, pain, psychiatry, all that stuff. It was good. I didn't mind it at all. Also in semester 2, we had like renal and urology and nutrition and digestion. Again, nutrition and digestion, not really my thing. Urology, not really my thing. Renal, I actually kind of got a bit interested with it. But again, in terms of like my note-taking stuff, I wasn't really doing much of it because it was just so much work in so little time that it was just impossible for me to fit in. And actually, again, you probably will have noticed that in my semester 1 and my semester 2, I've organised it by specialty again, because for me, again, the week and the date stuff, it doesn't matter. Like, you get the date at the bottom of your notes anyway, so I don't see the point of organising it by date like that. I would rather kind of put it into context, if you know what I mean. Let's leave that behind and just look at the study group posters again, because again, you know, this is where, you know, I'm excelling. Some of my favourites, I started off with a neuroanatomy little lecture that I did in my study group. I just love the colourfulness. I love that, you know, it's got all these arrows, and it explains everything like 10 times better than the lecture slides. I'm so off PowerPoint slides these days, I must say. And I like myself a black background with a nice diagram that's colourfully labelled up with arrows. Another one of my favourites, in fact probably one of my top, is this body water balance one. And actually the interesting thing is, I found this topic really difficult to understand, and I think a lot of medical students will be able to relate with this. Body water balance has a lot of hormones involved, a lot of organs involved, and I always took on the topics that I found difficult, because I thought if I'm going to put in the time to make a poster with so much effort, then I want to do it on a topic that I don't really get, so that I put that time in. And exactly with this topic I did that, and now you can quiz me on it, and hopefully I'll be able to remember the stuff. Again, you know, with these like graphs, the point is you're supposed to understand the trends rather than the units necessarily, or the exact plot points. I don't see the point of that at medical school. You're not doing a maths degree, so I like to keep the numbers out of it, because I want to see the trends, and I think it's the trends and the concepts you need to understand, and for that I did that. And again, I love these feedback loops as well. So yeah, I think this was like an overall note that I was quite proud of. I liked it. Other kind of interesting ones, I covered chronic kidney disease and also acute kidney disease, because I thought, you know, if I'm doing one, I might as well do the other. It's a nice link. And again, you know, I really liked it. It was just really clear to understand, gives a really good overview, and yeah, a lot easier to understand than the slides, I hope. and yeah, I think this is really what got me through some of the difficult topics at med school. Okay, and I guess like that's MBCHB year 1 and year 2 done and dusted, and we're now into year 3 of intercalation, and I'm doing surgical sciences as my intercalation, and these are my main modules. So this is just a little sneak peek. I'll be doing a few more videos on intercalation coming soon, so I'll fill you guys up on what exactly is happening. And yeah, I think that's pretty much a tour of my Samsung notes. Like, you'll see that it's actually pretty basic. Like, it's a lot of notes. Like, how many total notes have I got now? I've got 595 notes, right? But I've organized it all in a way that I find really easy to, you know, find everything. So yeah, I hope you know, this has been interesting, and you can sort of organize your stuff in a similar way. Alright guys, well that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful looking at, you know, my work over the past 2 years. When I make this sort of video, it really shows me like how much has actually gone into the past 2 years. Sometimes when you're so into the flow of things, you don't realize how much you're actually learning. I think that was especially difficult during COVID when everything was self-learning. So I'm really glad that I've gotten through it. I'm quite proud of myself actually, and I'm really honoured to share this journey with you guys as well. So thank you so much for your support. I'm going to keep you guys updated on what's happening in my intercalation year as well. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything you'd like to say to me, please leave it in the comments, or follow the HSTV Instagram at HSTV official for all the extras and behind the scenes. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.